Hello everybody and welcome back to Smark and Soul. My name is Jack and I am joined by my co-host Sam today. This is episode 5 of the Smark and Soul podcast and I'm very excited to be bringing to you All Out 2021. Hello Sam, how are we feeling this week?
Hello Jack, I'm good. I'm also excited. This is our first foray into an AEW event.
AEW.
It definitely won't be our last, no. Especially now that they've launched their own streaming platform, which is just fantastic news for those of us who want to watch graps without going to Daily
Especially
Motion.
Overseas.
Yes. I didn't mind having to pay for their pay-per-views since they weren't like every 2 weeks, and also they lasted 4.5 hours and had genuine 5-star matches. But, you know, I'm not going to complain at was it like 20 quid a month and you get all the dynamites, collisions, everything like that?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I've not really looked into it that much. I just know that they have announced it sort of semi-recently. But yeah, I mean, it's like with the network in, when was it, like 2014 or whatever, and it was $9.99 and you got everything. So yeah, fuck it. Let's fucking go, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, All Out 2021, Sam, when I gave you those 5 numbers and you picked, I think it was number 5, I can't remember anyway, but it ended up being All Out 2021. What were your initial thoughts about potentially, having to watch it and then giving notes on it? You know, it's our first AEW show. What's going on in your head? My
initial thought was, oh my God, is this Brawl Out? And then I looked it up and was like, oh no, that was the following year.
Yeah, I even thought it was, you know, when you were like, oh, is it Brawl Out? I was like, yeah, I think so, actually. For some reason, I got 21 and 22 mixed up. So, yeah, we're a year out. Sorry, guys. We won't be talking about the fucking CM Punk cupcake fucking whatever it was.
We will.
Bullshit.
No doubt we will get there, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it will come up at some point. But... after the initial kind of, oh, this isn't Brawl Out, I looked through the card and I was like, oh yeah, I do remember some of these matches. I especially was like, I remember Lucha Bros versus Young Bucks, and obviously we'll get to that. And then the afters of the main event as well. Like kind of remembered as it was happening. I was like, oh, isn't this where? Yes. And then also, yes. Oh my God. Okay, cool. So yeah. And also, yeah, it's just, I think after 4 weeks of WWE pay-per-views and an NXT pay-per-view, it was nice to watch something else. And also you kind of like notice the difference. Yeah. Notice the differences between like the production and things like that. It was cool. Yeah, I definitely had a fun time. It's
interesting to note the differences in production between AEW 5 years ago and even now. Like, they've stepped it up now. They've really got a good presentation now. And I liked it back in 2021, but you can really tell there are like... It's the slight differences between like a show that's like 95% done and professional and a good production, and now they've got it pretty much down to a T. But in 2021, you notice these little things and you're like, oh yeah, no, you are still a young company, still only 2 years old as a company. You know, you've got not literally a baby face, but baby faced. In MJF, like, he looks so fucking he looks so baby 5 years ago, doesn't he?
And
it's just little things like that you notice. Honestly, even now he's 29, isn't he now, or something?
I think he's like the same age as me, which is terrifying. But yeah, there was definitely you could definitely notice sort of back then, like, kind of the growing pains and like teething problems of like sometimes maybe a camera would be in the wrong place or an audio cue would be missed or whatever, and it's definitely become a much more well-oiled machine. I think you're always going to in your mind compare it to WWE because that's the go-to, that's the mainstream,
it's inevitable.
And obviously it's not going to be at that level because WWE, that's what they do. They make movies, you know?
Moments.
They make moments. Whereas this is like, I think it's a lot more grounded in its presentation. Like, one thing that stood out to me watching this show was you don't get, in between matches, you don't get like 17 backstage segments and
No.
look at this famous person that we have front row, you know, and it's just like, okay, here's the match, here's maybe some afters, and then
straight into the next thing.
match. Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah, and everything sort of makes sense as well. I think the way that Tony Khan structures his cards is really good. He puts the right matches in the right place, and it's like we've talked about before on the podcast. It's ultimately wrestling and booking wrestling. It's just doing the thing that makes the most sense most of the time, and unfortunately we're conditioned by WWE because they just sort of force feed us their own narratives, that when we see something like a really well booked AEW show, it's like, holy shit, this is what wrestling could be.
Yeah, you almost feel like not dissatisfied, but you're like, wait, no, but where's like the big swerve, or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're like,
Yes.
well, no, because there has to be something on this show that I have a gripe with. And like, there's obviously going to be matches on every show that you're like, I wasn't a fan of this, or, you know, maybe they could have done this better. But you never come away being like, what the fuck was that? Like,
No, yeah, every character, every wrestler that's on this show, they do everything they do and say. It fits well with their character and the parameters that the company and themselves and TK whatever have set out. Like it all just makes sense. So
yeah, you boo the heels and you cheer the baby faces.
Exactly. So All Out 2021, it's the first big post-lockdown show for AEW anyway, because there was that little old thing at the end of 2019 and early 2020 called COVID that put everything into disarray, and we're still feeling the effects of it now, and it's crazy to look back that it was fucking 6 years ago now. It's wild, and this, obviously, we had pretty much like 18 months without any shows, and it was sort of towards the autumn of 2021 where music events and shows like this sort of came back. And so if you've got 10,000 rabid fucking fans in Chicago of all places, you've got CM Punk there, it's the first big post-lockdown show, the crowd are fucking rabid, and they I know we talked about the whole Full Sail crowd and crowds taking over events in the Brooklyn review that we did. I feel like the crowd just played their part perfectly in this show.
They really did. Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, because I was, as you were saying that, I was like, I don't remember the crowd like taking anything over, and then you were like, yeah, no, they played their part. Yeah, no, they did. They were there to just watch some wrestling and just be
some good
amongst. Graps. Yeah, just be in that kind of atmosphere again. Because like you said, it had been 18 months at that point since, obviously, you know, they'd had their shows at Daly's Place, which had kind of reduced capacities and stuff like that. But this was their first kind of arena
full
sold out. Yeah, and it was just, you could feel that in the air as well. And especially, like you said, you're in Chicago, CM Punk's first match in 7 years, and also just like the AEW fan base as well. Like, we're going to do a lot of glazing of AEW on this episode. And you know what? I don't care.
It's justified. It's honestly,
I'm an
it's
AEW
justified.
shill. I don't fucking care anymore.
Fuck it. Yeah.
Like,
you know, fuck ice, all that shit. Like they've got all that going. Like, you know, they don't hamstring their talent for speaking out on, you know, fucking totalitarian regimes.
They're not in the White House. You know what I mean?
No.
But yeah, the crowd just, masterful performance from the Chicago crowd.
Absolutely. We've got 10K strong, sold out crowd in the Now Arena. I don't even know if it's called the Now Arena, but it was in 2021. And we have about 200 or 1,000 or so buying on pay-per-view. All Out is one of AEW's big 4 pay-per-views at the time. So nowadays they sort of have like one a month, and they have special Dynamite episodes and bumper episodes and whatnot. But in 2021, the company had only been formed for 2 years. So they did the sort of the old school booking that happened in the sort of 70s and 80s where you had 4 shows, so like 1 per quarter, I guess. So you have Double or Nothing, Full Gear, Revolution, and All Out at the moment. The stories that we have going into this, we alluded to it. It's CM Punk's first match in 7 years. Does he still have it? Is he still the best in the world? You know, we'll wait and see. He's facing Darby Allin in a one-on-one bout. CM Punk made his highly anticipated debut for AEW. It was a special episode of Rampage. I think it was it must have been in August. It was called the First Dance, and it was sort of harking back to the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. There was a Netflix special called The Last Dance, I think, that was very popular around this time. CM Punk came back and he was like, yeah, I want to be the best in the world. One of your hot new stars is Darby Allin. I'm going to challenge him to a match at All Out. That's probably the main story for All Out 2021 right now, and that's the leading story that I've got. Two other stories that I've sort of... Oh, go on.
Well, I was going to say, I think in terms of the length of the story, I think you're probably talking like MJF Jericho.
Oh yeah, but it is one of the ones that I've got down. But I have so many gripes with that fucking view. It went on for too long, but anyway, we've got the MJF and Chris Jericho feud. They've got their respective factions. So Chris Jericho has the Inner Circle, and MJF has the Pinnacle. They had a blood and guts match back in May, which MJF and the Pinnacle won. But now, for some reason, we have yet another match between the two, and Jericho is putting his AEW career at least on the line against MJF in a one-on-one match. The feud started around a year ago in 2020. It started with MJF wanting to actually join the Inner Circle, and he did for a few months. But then he sort of turned his back on Jericho in the Inner Circle, revealed that secretly he was building his own faction all along. And when I'm saying those things, they sound like pretty grand ideas and pretty good ideas and stuff. It wasn't really pulled off to the extent that we wanted it to be pulled off. But yeah, they've got a match, and yeah, for some reason Jericho's put his career on the line. He's currently like, as of All Out 2021, he's 3-0. MJF is 3-0 up on Jericho. So there's no spice to it. I don't really want to see this match again. But it is one of the big stories, and it's one of the longest stories, as you rightly pointed out. The third story that I've got is obviously for the AEW title. So we have Kenny Omega versus Christian for the AEW World Championship on this show. Kenny Omega is coming off his world title collecting phase. So he was a bit of a bout collector at this point. He held one of the Mexican world titles.
It was the AAA, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, there we go. Yeah, AAA title. He had the AEW title, the TNA title, formerly the Impact title. And I think he had a couple of others as well, but, being world champion of 3 major American promotions was a pretty fucking big deal. He is aligned to human excrement Don Callis at the moment. And the previous month, Christian actually beat Kenny Omega for the Impact World title, which was Omega's first singles loss in almost 2 years, I believe.
Yes,
so
18 months, I think they said.
Yeah, so those are our main stories that I've got. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add. I know we've got stories in the other matches, but those are the 3 sort of tentpole stories, I would say.
I think those were sort of the 3 matches that this show was promoted with. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm satisfied with your synopses and your rundown.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we start off the show, and JR welcomes us. So it's a nice voice to hear. It's the voice of everyone's childhood for wrestling, basically. And we like JR. He's all right, isn't he? Nice pyro, hot crowd, like we said, to start off the good vibes in Chicago. On the commentary desk, we've got Excalibur, JR, and Tony Schiavone.
The boys.
Yeah, the boys. We pretty much go straight into match 1, which is Miro versus Eddie Kingston for the TNT title. Eddie Kingston comes out wearing a Redeem These Nuts t-shirt, which is really nice to see. It's a play on Miro's gimmick. He's like the Redeemer, and he's like drawing the power of God, and he's always talking to God and stuff, and he's trying to like redeem people. Eddie Kingston is your everyman. He's from New York. I think it's like Queens or something. He's got a very strong accent, and he is, your everyman. He like grew up on the streets and all that kind of fucking bollocks. We've got a really good pop for Kingston. And we've got boos for Miro, so, they're cheering the baby faces and they're booing the heels.
They're doing their job.
They're doing their job correctly, exactly. So right into the action, Kingston, he exhibits this in all of his matches, but he's just so unafraid. And Miro is a big fucking built fucker, isn't he? He goes right after Miro in the early parts of the match. He does an eye poke. He does loads of chops and slaps. He ends it up with an exploder suplex. But then Miro sort of uses his power moves and strength. He whips Kingston into the barricade on the outside once they sort of brawl on the outside. He's got a power slam in, some ring post action. Back in the ring, we've got more back and forth. Some choking, kicks, slaps, chops, suplexes. You got the lot. A suicide dive elbow from Kingston to Miro after Miro avoids the spinning back fist, which is Kingston's sort of finishing move. Back in the ring again after the suicide dive, Kingston avoids a kick, hits a nice fisherman suplex for a 2 count. Kingston takes the turnbuckle pad off, but before he gets a rope break from Miro's game over submission, big pop for that. Miro had it locked in for quite a while. He does the classic baby face, like rah rah rah, all that kind of shit. Big pop. He hits a spinning back fist and a DDT for another 2 count on Miro, but this time it's because Bryce Remsburg, the referee, was fixing the turnbuckle pad that Kingston originally took off. The fans end up chanting, "You fucked up at the referee." Yeah. Eddie goes for the pile driver, but Miro avoids it. The referee then fucks up again, gets in between the action and the exposed turnbuckle. With all of this in like chaos, Miro hits a low blow without the ref seeing, hits a really nice looking roundhouse kick, and then a running rope super kick to win in 13 minutes and 22 seconds. Sam, how are we feeling about this match?
I went 3 stars for this one. I thought it was a good opener. I think it got the crowd hot. It felt to me like these were sort of 2 guys who felt like they had something to prove coming into this match. Like Miro, obviously not long having come over from WWE. Eddie had kind of been not necessarily dismissed, but a lot of people saw him as just like, oh, that's Jon Moxley's friend. And I think that kind of everyman character, it works really well for him because he has that personal connection with people and he is able to just talk. He is a really good talker, and I think he
can make you believe in anything, can't he?
100%. Like, you fully will buy into him. But I think that the story that I picked up on was kind of that Eddie was, like you said, he has that fearlessness, but it was kind of like he's bitten off more than he can chew for once.
Yeah.
He's giving as good as he gets for as long as he can, but Miro just, he overpowers him, and then obviously you get the weird kind of turnbuckle finish, which I didn't necessarily dislike. I thought it was done pretty well, and obviously it keeps the heat on Miro, and it makes Eddie look somewhat strong. That he got fucked over with the low blow. So yeah, I thought it was a solid opener. I think for a show like this, when it's the first time back in 18 months, the crowd is hot. You don't want to give them something too technical, almost to like sit and watch. It's like, let's give them something that's like, fun spots, big moments and whatever that, they can shout at and like have a go at the referee or whatever. Like, give them something fun to start off with, and then you can go into the kind of proper wrestling. This was like the sports entertainment match of the night.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, so I enjoyed it a little bit more than you. I think I must have got caught up in the match. I thought it was a nice opener. Both are really good wrestlers, aren't they? Both have got pretty decent characters. I think Kingston's character is probably a bit more fleshed out and a bit more real, but this Redeemer character that Miro had at the time, it was pretty compelling and it was decent. If to have like a larger than life heel hold your mid-card title and look like a monster, I thought everybody came together on that character and did really well. For this match in particular, I liked the fact that Miro was really targeting Eddie's back, and then Eddie was targeting the neck of Miro, and they were both sort of targeting these body parts, and I loved the psychology of that. And also they just kind of just beat the fuck out of each other for 10 to 15 minutes, didn't they? And I just love big men slapping their meat, you know, that kind of thing. You mentioned the ref distraction for the finish. I was going to ask you, did it feel a little bit cheap to have it as the finish for the opener, or did it fit the story of the match?
I think you can look at it one of two ways, where it's like, oh, this is the first show back in 18 months and that's the finish for the opener, which I get can be kind of frustrating, but I think it did also help the story of the match, in the sense that I think, yes, Miro did overpower Eddie for not the majority, but like you could tell he was physically getting the upper hand. But I think also it showed the kind of desperation of Miro, that it's like, oh my God, this guy won't stay down. Like, and it plays into Eddie's character a lot as well with that. So I think it definitely benefited Eddie, and I think it does play into the story a little bit, even if you can kind of look at it and be like, oh, it's a bit cheap to have your first match finish like that. But sometimes it be what it be, you know? No,
untrue. And I think, you know, sort of you giving it a 3 and me giving it a 3.5, the real quality lies probably somewhere in the middle. It's definitely an above average match anyway. And yeah, it's a good opener for this show. So yeah, no, good vibes all around for the first match.
Definitely.
We're going into the second match now, which is very similar in a way to the first match. Match 2, we have Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima. Moxley is currently GCW champion. I don't think he has the title on him, but he's wearing a GCW hoodie when he comes out, and he's coming out to the song Wild Thing, you know, Wild Thing, bam, bam. So that was his thing at the time. Pretty cool. Yeah, he's just, you know, it's Jon Moxley, isn't it? He's a badass. Kojima gets quite a nice warm pop, like a respectful pop, which was nice to see.
Yes.
And he offers Jon Moxley a handshake at the beginning to give a show of respect, but Moxley replies with a middle finger. And then we get into the action. It's similar to Miro and Eddie. It was another hard-hitting match, and in the early exchanges, both guys were just exchanging chops and strong style shots. Kojima's 50 fucking years old, man, and he hits a slingshot over the top. Slingshot. What have I written? Slingshot something over the top rope onto Mox. But my main point is that he's 50 years old and he's doing top rope moves. Mox replies with his own suicide dive to the outside before manipulating Kojima's fingers back in the ring after a stomp to the hand. Both guys chop each other again. There's a lot of chops in this match. Kojima hits an elbow drop from the top. Yeah, another top rope move from Kojima. Mox hits a belly-to-belly suplex. They bite each other's head while on the turnbuckle. Like it's more like primal and desperation in this match compared to the psychological targeting of Miro and Eddie. But Kojima hits a superplex to Mox after they sort of bite each other's heads on the turnbuckle. Mox's head gets fucking spiked on the apron from a nasty looking DDT, but then he goes for a choke and gets a suplex for a 2 count back in the ring. Mox then goes for a cross arm breaker, but Kojima breaks free. We see the running knee from Mox, a brainbuster from Kojima for another 2 count. Hard-hitting clotheslines are exchanged. Both go down on the mat. It's very even up until this point. You've got forearms are being exchanged. Just lots of strong style forearms and punches and slaps. They pick up the pace a little bit. They get like high-impact moves now. A rolling elbow and a running clothesline. Goes for the bulldog choke, one of his signature moves, but Kojima reaches the ropes with his foot. More of a back and forth before Mox just fucking headbutts Kojima out of nowhere, hits a paradigm shift, then a lifted paradigm shift, and that's how you know that Mox really respects his opponent, is when he hits the second elevated paradigm shift, and he hits that for the win in 11 minutes 52 seconds. How are we feeling about this one, Sam?
I went 2.5 for this, you know.
Okay.
I think, like you said, it was similar to the first match, but slower. Obviously, when you read out your notes like that, and it might sound like, oh my God, there's action too fast to call. But in between a lot of these moves, there was a bit of kind of like dawdling about.
Well, yeah, and I mean, he is 50 years old.
Exactly. I get that.
Yeah.
However, but yeah, I was kind of expecting a bit more. Obviously, I know Kojima is in his 50s. He's got a lot of mileage on the clock. But obviously, he can still very much go in the ring. And I think it didn't help that at this time, Moxley was going through a lot in his personal life. And I think you can kind of see it on his face when he comes out as well. Like if you compare Moxley coming out there at All Out and then you tune into, say, Dynamite this week, you'll see like he's a lot leaner now and a lot more in shape. Like he was looking very kind of puffy and bloated. And I was going to say like he looks pissed off, but that's just kind of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was fine as like an exhibition match. I think it was just maybe missing a gear or two, and especially after the Miro Eddie match, which was good, but a similar kind of strong style almost match to this was just a bit like it's just kind of not as good version as the match we've just seen,
Yeah. No, I get you. I rated it a 3 out of 5. I thought, yeah, it was a couple of downgrade points from the first match, but I gave it an above average score because I thought Kojima had a really, really good showing, for, considering his age and all that. And everybody loves a little bit of Mox, don't they? So that probably puts it up in my estimation as well. But after the match, we get Minoru Suzuki appearing, and he squares up to Mox, and fucking huge pop. He genuinely looks quite taken aback at the pop that he gets, and he looks genuinely sort of happy to be there. He squares up to Mox, and they have a little brawl, and Suzuki hits Mox with a pile driver and stands tall. So yeah, no, I thought maybe the 3 out of 5 for me lumped in that sort of after match segment in as well, with the huge pop and the excitement with Suzuki coming out. But I thought it was a good to great match. Both guys are good, good hands to have. But yeah, probably too similar in style to the opener, and I think for people like you and I, we could probably pick out the minute differences between the two, and we did in the reviews of both matches. But for the lay person watching it, they'll probably just see two identical matches, if I'm honest. So, but yeah, it's still a good fucking match. And yeah, good stuff. And I think to have around about the 3 mark out of 5 for your first 2 matches, pretty fucking good going.
Not bad.
So
not bad.
Moving into match 3, and this is what we mean. It keeps coming at you, and we're not cutting back to backstage for some fucking shitty serial shill fucking bollocks or some celebrity thing. We're going into our 3rd match, and it's for the women's world title as well, so it's a big deal. It's just banger after banger here. So match 3, we've got Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker, who is the current champion, and yeah, like I said, it's for the women's world title. It's the old style of the women's belt as well, isn't it? And
I didn't like this belt.
It does look a bit small, doesn't it? But I don't mind the design. I think if they probably just like blew it up a little bit, made it a bit bigger, I probably would have liked it. But it's very old school looking, this belt, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's too old school looking for me. That's the problem. I understand AEW likes their their like their tradition and things like that, but yeah, it looked a bit. The new women's belt is so much nicer. Like it's one that I've genuinely like I've looked at buying for myself to have.
We've got, like I said, Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker. Chris has Orange Cassidy for backup, and Britt Baker has Rebel and Jamie Hayter in their respective corners. Going into this, the only real thing to note is that Statlander has been undefeated so far in 2021, and that's why she has got this shot for the world title. We start off with some nice counter wrestling at the start. Baker hits a big twisting net breaker off the top ropes. There are some suplexes and a chin lock with some showboating. Britt Baker's quite good at sort of slowing down the pace and really getting her facial expressions in and playing to the crowd and stuff. And she's a good heel. Stat comes back with some heavy strikes, an elbow and a running knee. She hits a modified Falcon Arrow for the 2 count. I thought that looked really, really nice and smooth. Britt Baker counters a lot of moves with, and then gets two counts in quick succession herself via a backslide pin and a DDT. That Baker hits a flatliner into the turnbuckle, which again looked pretty nasty. They muddle around on the middle ropes for a little bit, kind of, I guess, deciding what to do, but then Statlander misses an area 451 off the top as Baker moves out of the way. Statlander powers out of a submission attempt and hits a lovely scissor kick for another 2 counts, so kind of like a Booker T scissor kick. It was really nice looking as well. This is awesome chant breaks out from the crowd, first one of the night, I believe anyway, but then Statlander misses a pendulum moonsault from the apron, so that's 2 kind of high impact top rope almost moves that she's missed. Britt Baker hits a curb stomp from the steps onto the floor, which again looked fucking nasty. There was a lot of like hard hitting moves where you're like, ooh, and you wince a little bit in this one. So yeah, Statlander's on the outside after the curb stomp, and we get this kind of like a bit of a weird character change from Orange Cassidy. He pumps himself up and then he pumps Statlander up.
I know, I was so shocked at that.
Yeah, and motivates her to get back into the ring to beat the 10 count, I guess. Both women now back in the ring for more back and forth. Britt hits a huge Pittsburgh Sunrise for a 2 count, so it's like a Panama Sunrise, Canadian Destroyer type sort of move, to sort of picture it in your head if you guys don't know what a Pittsburgh Sunrise is. She hits another curb stomp for another 2 count and then sets in the lockjaw submission, and Statlander can't take that much punishment. And Britt retains her title in 11 minutes 35 seconds. Sam, how are we feeling about this women's world title match?
I know we're only 3 matches in, but this was definitely the best match so far of the night. I went 3.75.
Okay.
I was very close to saying 4. My only gripe was that kind of final sequence. I know it can be kind of construed as like it took Britt this much to get the win over Chris, but it felt to me like there was just a little bit too much dominance from Britt in that final sequence, to then also have I think if it had finished with Britt does all these different moves and then gets a pin, that's different. I think the fact that she did all of that and then gets a submission just made it a little bit too much for me. But I mean, these are 2 women who know how to wrestle, like, obviously.
For sure. Yeah.
And I'm a big Chris Statlander. I'm a Stanlander. And Jamie Hayter was there. Blonde Jamie Hayter. Baby blonde Jamie Hayter. Was nice to see. Yeah,
we love a bit of Jamie Hayter.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's always
and
funny
Orange
when
Cassidy,
you talk.
to be fair.
Oh yeah, of course. But you know, he's not Jamie Hayter.
No.
But it's always funny when you talk about Britt Baker. There's always kind of like, oh yeah, but she politics and she yada yada yada, and it's like, yes,
so did Hulk Hogan. So did Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. And like I get that she has those issues backstage and she politics and whatever, but I will always give her credit for being that kind of Charlotte Flair in AEW, if you know what I mean. Like she was. Well,
she really helped the. Yeah, she helped the division sort of stand on its own 2 feet after the first couple of years. I don't think we would have
that they needed.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a strong women's division in AEW now if it weren't for Britt Baker sort of holding the candle for the division, especially during the pandemic and everything. You know, a lot of respect needs to go to her for that.
She was very much that kind of reliable hand of like, okay, who can we put in the world title picture?
The Sheamus of AEW as well.
Exactly.
You know, that kind of vibe for sure. Yeah. I actually agreed with you on this 3.75 out of 5 for this. I agree that it's probably the best match so far on the card. Like you said, I know we're only 3 matches in. Miro and Eddie, 3.5 for me, and this one probably just pips it at 3.75, same as you. There are some really, really nice spots in this match. If I were to detract a little bit from it, it felt like they sort of muddled their way to each spot occasionally. I thought the pacing in the last 2 to 3 minutes was fucking phenomenal, and I know that a lot of it was just Britt getting her shit in, but I thought the last 2 to 3 minutes when they really picked up the pace, and considering it's only an 11.5-minute match as well for a world title, I thought they got enough in. And
yes, they did.
No, I thought I really liked it. So yeah, 3.75 out of 5.
Yeah, It's crazy to think that it takes another 4 years for Chris Statlander to win the world title.
I know.
Like,
I know.
and
It's
she
crazy,
was so
isn't it?
over at this point already. And then she kind of had, she dipped in and out of like being in the mid card, and then obviously she had a big injury. But I'm very happy to see Chris Statlander where she is now. Let me say that.
100%. I mean, she's sort of, stay with me here, but she's sort of almost like the Natalia of AEW in that really good wrestler, really good technically, doesn't really have too much of a handle or a hook on her character to really, really connect with the audience in that way. Yes, she's over and she can connect with the audience, but you know what I mean about that hook with her character. And a good hand to have, but the difference is that AEW can book their women a lot better than WWE, so that's the big difference in the whole Natalia comparison for me anyway. But I look at Chris Statlander as she's probably going to be an AEW lifer. She came up. She's been there pretty much the whole time, and I think there will always be a place for her at AEW. And yeah, I mean, it's almost a travesty that it took that long for her to have a world title reign. But I think she's still pretty young as well, isn't she? So there's plenty of time for her to sort of hone her craft even more so and become a great in AEW for sure.
She's turned 30 in August, so yeah, she's
got she's got 15 years at the top basically,
easily. But hopefully this is the beginning now in 2026, the genesis of Michael McGillicuddy, of Chris Statlander being in that main event scene for
consistently.
Yeah, exactly. Have mixing it up with the likes of Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter, obviously when Brawling Birds go their separate ways, hopefully amicably.
Absolutely. You don't know, but yeah. Cool.
Fun.
Yeah, no, great match, hey?
Speaking of great matches.
Oh, yeah. Wow. First off, though, we need to go backstage with Alex Marvez, our backstage reporter. He's interviewing Chavo Guerrero and Andrade Al Idolo about the Bastard Pack. So this coming Rampage, they're building up to that match. I think it was meant to originally be on All Out, was Andrade versus Pac, but Pac had some visa issues because he's originally from England. And yeah, they talk shit about him and they hype up the upcoming match, and that's all that needs to be said about that. And then we get a short video package that hypes up the upcoming tag match, and like you said, this match is a fucking doozy, isn't it? So yeah, going into match 4, it's a steel cage match for the AEW tag team titles. It's the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, versus the Lucha Brothers, Rey Fenix and Penta El Zero Miedo. And I am butchering those names, but everybody knows what I am on about. The Lucha Bros get a really cool entrance. There are some Mexican rappers that come out and they help out with the entrance. They come out wearing really this fucking awesome, sick, slick entrance gear, and they're accompanied by their friend Alex Abrahantes. The Young Bucks come out with Human Excrement Don Callis, the Good Brothers and Brandon Cutler. They're all looking very heelish and stuff. And, the Young Bucks, regardless of whether they're faces or heels, I don't care what anyone says about them. They go all in. They go 100% into their characters, and they're just fucking good, man. They're just good at what they do.
They really are.
We start off fast with the Bucks immediately trying to escape the cage. Rey Fenix hits a drop kick to both of their backs and they come crashing back down. The Lucha Brothers hit a double super kick to the Bucks, then hit double spears into the cage walls. After a second attempt, the Bucks regain control with a double stomp and a backstabber. Then some more cage wall work, a power bomb and a choke attempt with a chain. The Young Bucks avoid a double super kick from the Lucha Brothers. Both Nick Jackson and Penta hit in-sync cutters to their counterparts. Matt Jackson then hits a top rope stunner. Fenix hits a springboard double stunner to come back. That starts a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd. And I mean, I've just got to say, I'm not even halfway through the action. I've got to apologize if I miss anything because this match goes fucking hard, guys. We have more back and forth. The Bucks apply a double submission on Penta until Rey Fenix interrupts. Nick hits a senton off the top onto Penta for a 2 count. The Bucks hit a double super kick to Fenix. Nick heads up top for a drop kick into a tombstone for Penta. You know the Young Bucks, they have all these crazy fucking moves where they just do like drop kicks or flips into fucking pile drivers and stuff, like, you know, the Meltzer drivers, all that stuff. They've got all of that going on. They get a 2 count based on that move. The Bucks go for the BTE trigger, but then they knee themselves. Fenix counters their moves until Matt low blows both Lucha Brothers, and that's where they start healing it up. The Bucks hit the more bang for your buck, which is a 450 splash from Nick, followed by a moonsault by Matt, and it just looks fucking insane. The stuff that they cook up is, honestly, it's insane. Penta breaks up the pin. The Bucks then try to rip the masks off the Lucha Brothers, and they almost fucking do it. Like
they get
look
close.
like the Lucha Brothers. Yeah, they have like half of their masks basically torn off. They get busted open as well, of course they do. Shivani says that Don Callis is full of shit, because obviously Don Callis has come on commentary, and he's he's obviously backing his boys, the Young Bucks. Excalibur apologizes to everyone for the salty language, because Shivani obviously wasn't meant to say that Don Callis was full of shit, but it's a good moment. Brandon Cutler then chucks a bag over the cage and into the ring to help out the Young Bucks. Matt Jackson opens it and reveals a fucking thumbtack shoe, which is, insane. I think that's something that they did back in PWG on the Indies. I think they did it to Tony Storm, didn't they?
That rings a bell.
The Indies.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. But anyway, they've got it in this cage match. He goes to super kick Fenix with this thumbtack shoe, but Penta puts himself in the way, as in like, oh, I need to save my brother type thing. Great moment. He receives a super kick for his troubles with the thumbtack shoe. Nick then shoves Penta's face into the thumbtack shoe as Matt posts up on the top rope. Fenix then eats a tack shoe super kick as well, then a poison rana. Then the Bucks hit a BTE trigger on Penta for a fucking close 2 count. Imagine taking all that punishment and it's still just a 2 count.
Yeah, killing the business.
I know. Fenix saves the day. Then he counters these tack shoe shenanigans, gets his hand on it, hits both the Bucks with it. The crowd are going fucking mental. He hits a fucking muscle buster, or he calls it a Blackfire driver on Matt for a close 2 count as well. All 4 guys are on the apron now. Penta and Matt Jackson hit tandem package pile drivers on their counterparts, then exchange punches back in the ring. Penta hits a fucking huge Canadian destroyer from the top rope onto Matt Jackson. All 4 guys are exchanging chops and super kicks in the middle of the ring now. They're stumbling around and they're all bloodied up. The Lucha Brothers, with their torn mask, like we said, it looks fucking insane. They look like they've gone through a war already. A big AEW chant hits out from the crowd. AEW, AEW. Lucha Brothers hit Fear Factor on Nick Jackson for another close 2 count because Matt saves the day. Lucha Brothers try to set up an elaborate move with Phoenix at the top of the cage, but Nick super kicks Penta and climbs the cage to meet Ray at the top, but then he eats a penalty kick and falls back into the ring. Fenix then crossbodies all competitors from the top, including his own brother. Then the Lucha Brothers hit an assisted pile driver for the win in 22 minutes and 4 seconds. We have new tag team champs. The crowd goes fucking insane, and wow, what a fucking match, right? Jeez.
Oh my god. So remember what I said after the Kojima Moxley match, that, you know, all those moves that you were listing out, there was quite a lot of like dawdling in between.
Yes.
This was the exact opposite of that.
Yes.
Like literally frenetic pace from the get-go and rarely ever let up. It was tag team perfection, liquid tag team wrestling. Incredible. I went 4.75 because for me to give something a 5-star, it has to undoubtedly be 5-star. Like it has if I'm watching a match and I go, I think that's 5 stars, it's not 5 stars.
Right, I got you.
This is the best match of the night, don't get me wrong. But it's 4.75 for me. Which also, by the way, means I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Yeah, you're not shitting on it if you're giving it a 0.25 like, under 5.
Yeah, it's only a 4.75. But I think the lack of relying on weapons and extreme spots helped this match as well, so that when you had that reveal... By the way, shout out to Brandon Cutler for that throw of the bag into the ring, because... I know for a fact I would have fucked that up. It would have been like Mark Henry trying to get the chain off the cage on that SmackDown. But it made the reveal and the use of the thumbtacked shoe that much better, that it was like, oh my God, now weapons are involved. Because they used the cage and they also just mauled each other to such an extent that when you then introduce something else, you're like, oh shit. But that spot with the circle of chops and the super kicks, I genuinely, I just started like laughing to myself because it was so ridiculous, but it was so enjoyable. And I can just...
You need a bit of ridiculousness in your wrestling though, don't you?
And I could picture all the like fed drones being like, see, look at them no-selling this. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's not real. No. Let us just enjoy it. Also, I want to give a shout out to Human Excrement Don Callis during this match. One thing I will say, whenever Don Callis is on commentary, even though he's meant to be like this annoying heel commentator, he does a really good job. He's
so good because he puts over the baby faces as well,
exactly.
And you don't even notice it really.
Yes, and it was. I mean, I noticed it, but maybe that's just because I'm above the average viewer of these shows.
Yes,
but it's he will just like subtly kind of mention things that the baby faces are doing well, or that they historically do well, or something that his clients or his faction members need to be wary of. And also he's fine with having the piss taken out of himself as well, which is really good. Tony Schiavone saying he's full of shit. Tony Schiavone just loves... Like, when he did that as well, it just made me think of the Mariah May incident where he was like, shut up, you bitch. When she was doing the Tony Storm impersonation.
Yes.
Tony Schiavone, sometimes I'm not sure if he knows it's fake.
Yeah, but that's you need that as well in a commentator.
I
need
think
someone who is kind of half in kayfabe and half not.
I enjoy the kind of senile ramblings of Tony Schiavone and Jerry Lawler. Jesus, not Jerry Lawler.
Oh no, not him.
Jim Ross. I meant Jim Ross. But yeah, this match just... It blew my socks off. It blew me away. I had a fantastic time. They 100% tried to and successfully stole the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually gave it a 5 out of 5. I was pretty unwavering. I immediately was like, fucking hell, that's a 5 out of 5. Like you said, if you have to question it, it's probably not. But immediately I was like, wow, that has to be. I mean, yeah, it's at least a 4.75 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
It puts it to a 5 just because I had so much fucking fun with it. It's such a good match.
That's our first 5-star.
Yes, it is actually. Yeah,
big moment.
Big moment. Yeah. Both teams were 100% in this match. They knew their roles, and it speaks to the professionalism of the Young Bucks as well, because they're executive vice presidents of AEW. They could just be tag champs for the rest of fucking time if they wanted to, really. But they can be so selfless and really give back to the company and the wrestling industry as a whole. And they are not afraid, like Don Callis, they are not afraid to play the fools and have the joke be on them most of the time. And they are in every angle 100%. And this match was just fucking great, man. I just loved it. The thumbtack shoe spot was so cool. Commentary sold the whole match and everything like a dream. Like you said, Don Callis is on commentary as well. It elevates it even more. Just fucking great stuff. And we get a title change as well. Like, fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
5 out of 5 from me. So
very good stuff. Indeed.
Moving swiftly on to the Casino Battle Royale for a women's world title match at a future point in time, I guess. So AEW has this Casino Battle Royale. For those of you who are initiated, it's sort of a play on a Battle Royale and a Royal Rumble in a way. So to briefly explain the details, wrestlers select a card from a special deck of cards, which determines their group and suit of 5 competitors that they come out with. So every 3 minutes and 30 seconds, the deck is shuffled and a new suit comes out. So you've got clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. Once all the suits are out, the Joker then comes out last. So obviously the Joker gets a bit of some premium special treatment. And to be eliminated, you have to be thrown over the top rope. Did I explain that well enough, Sam?
Well, you need to also mention you need to be thrown over the top rope and both feet must hit the floor.
Well, yes.
Come
of
on.
course, yes. Yeah, oh, I'm so sorry. So our first 5 are out. It's clubs. It's Hikaru Shida, Emi Sakura, The Bunny, Abaddon, and Sky Blue. We have Shida and Sakura just beating the fuck out of each other. Sky Blue is eliminated by Abaddon. Abaddon is then eliminated by The Bunny. We then have the next 5, which are Diamonds, Anna Jay, Kiera Hogan, Kylin King, Diamante, and Nyla Rose come out. Shida eliminates Emi Sakura, whilst Nyla goes on a tear and eliminates like 3 people. She eliminates Kiera Hogan, Kylin Kin, and Shida, all within pretty much 30 seconds of each other to basically establish that Nyla's a fucking monster. The next 5 out are the Hearts. It's Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, Rio, Jamie Hayter, and Big Swole. There's some confusion here over Rio's elimination. So, during, I think, I don't know, the camera cuts away, there's no replays, and commentary are just like, Rio's gone. She doesn't get thrown over the top. She just fucking falls onto the floor and everything gets missed, but then she's announced as being eliminated. Very weird, but I'll come to what happens after the match. Jamie Hayter eliminates Rio, or eliminates in inverted commas. Then Big Swole eliminates Diamante. Hayter then eliminates Swole. The next 5 are out, and it's the Spades. It's Tay Conti, Red Velvet, Layla Hirsch, Jade Cargill, and Rebel. Red Velvet eliminates Rebel after she tries to do the splits on the ropes for some fucking reason. I don't know why you would do that in a battle royale. Anna Jay eliminates the Bunny. Penelope Ford eliminates Anna Jay. Then Jade Cargill eliminates Layla Hirsch with a press slam on the outside, which looked pretty cool. The Joker then comes out, and it's Ruby Soho. She has Rancid's Ruby Soho as an entrance theme, which is really cool. She gets some action in on the big guns that are left in the ring. Jade Cargill eliminates Jamie Hayter and Red Velvet. Nyla Rose then eliminates Jade Cargill, so one big hitter eliminating another. Tay Conti then gets rid of Penelope Ford. Nyla Rose eliminates Tay Conti, and we're left with Ruby Soho, Nyla Rose, and Thunder Rosa as the final 3. Nyla dominates basically until Thunder Rosa eliminates her. Then the final 2 face off in a mini match for a couple of minutes. They exchange blows, but then Ruby Soho eliminates Thunder Rosa with a head kick after they both end up on the ring apron after some shenanigans. And Ruby Soho wins in 21 minutes and 56 seconds. Sam, how are we feeling about this Casino Battle Royale?
I went 2.25. Yeah, I was never really a fan of this kind of format of the Casino Battle Royale. Yeah, I just thought it was a bit weird, and it felt kind of like, it almost felt like AEW was trying too hard to have its own Royal Rumble that was very much not the Royal Rumble. So it was like, how do we do Royal Rumble but in a different, worse way? And yeah, I think it very much just felt like this whole thing is designed so that Ruby Soho can be the Joker and debut. Ruby and Thunder Rosa are going to have a decent like mini match at the end, but the rest, guys, talk amongst yourselves, figure it out. It didn't feel very cohesive, and at some points it was like just downright sloppy as well.
Yeah,
I thought it was a shame that the likes of Emi Sakura and Riho and Hikaru Shida didn't really get much of a showcase.
I must apologize for my butchering of every name in this match, by the way.
I'll teach you Japanese pronunciation. I watch anime sometimes. But yeah, I thought, they were, you had some former world champions in there and very popular names. And it just kind of felt like, especially with Shida's elimination just kind of happening. Was it Shida or was it Riho's? See what I mean?
Rio.
Yeah. It was just like, it just kind of happened. It just felt very afterthoughty, and I was disappointed in it. So, but, we got to see Jamie Hayter again, so that's always a plus.
That's true.
And Jade Cargill, congratulations to Jade Cargill for, in 5 years, not progressing as a wrestler one iota.
Honestly,
her skill level is the exact same here as it is now.
I think she when she was in AEW, I'm pretty sure she put in the work, and she had people that were like holding her accountable. I might be speaking completely out of turn here because I don't know this woman and I don't know her training regime, right? But what it seems like is when she was in AEW, she was held more accountable, and she was working with really great wrestlers and, you know, really, really working to hone her craft. And coming into this, what even is she? What was she before being a wrestler?
I don't know.
Because I know that she's like rich and famous and all that. But yeah, do a little bit of a Google. But I think she must be like rich and famous because she keeps commenting that she doesn't even need to do wrestling to like make a living. So she does it because she loves it. But anyway, my broader point is that ever since she's been in WWE, I've felt like she's sort of rested on her laurels a little bit and gotten a little bit lazy.
Yes.
Because she's not the greatest in the ring, and she isn't having enough matches that accentuate her positives. If you're going to book her and she's still very limited in the ring, you can only do sort of one type of match, and it's pretty much always a squash match against someone a lot smaller, right? But yeah, no, it's wild to see her lack of progression in literally half a decade, Sam. Yeah, no, I didn't even think about it until you pointed it out there, and yeah, it's quite wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not finding anything. That's fine.
I'm looking at her like personal life. She's in a relationship with a former Cincinnati Reds second baseman, Brandon Phillips. They have a daughter together. They own a women's professional fast pitch franchise based in Austin, Texas. Her cousin Peter played for the Jamaican national football team.
Okay.
And that's it. She used to play amateur basketball.
Oh, all right.
But
she obviously makes a big deal about her life, a bigger deal than needs to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Battle Royale for me, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Very middle of the road, pretty similar to you. However, I really like the idea of the Casino Battle Royale. I like that it. For me, it's a bit more of a fresh take on it, and I like that. They could stagger the entrances of the 5 coming out at once for sure, because it's very like boom, boom, boom. And if you have a big deal, then it's kind of glossed over. You could definitely optimize it, but I like the bare bones idea a lot. It's just a cool idea for a battle royal / rumble scenario for me. The Rio elimination was a big point of confusion for me, but the finish between the two, Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho, was quite good. Mm-hmm. So, addressing this Rio elimination bollocks, in a November episode of Dynamite, AEW replayed footage of the elimination, and they confirmed that it wasn't correct. So she was then awarded a non-title match against the champion Britt Baker. She won that non-title match. So you know that AEW do these eliminator matches. So she won that, but then she came up short because it was like a battle of the belts in January 2022. Britt Baker retained against her. So they you've got to give it to AEW. They do pivot at the right moments, and they address things at the right moments as well. So obviously none of that was meant to happen at All Out, but they took it and they were like, fine, let's work a little program out of it. And fair fucks, fair fucks for addressing it. But yeah, I went for very middle of the road, 2.5 out of 5. Like you said, half of the competitors in here, I was struggling to even recall what their fucking names were. I don't.
No, literally, I was like, who are you?
Yeah, and
I don't remember
most of them haven't. Yeah, a lot of them haven't even appeared in AEW or any other wrestling promotion worth its salt in since then. So yeah, whatever. It was good though. It was passable. On to match 6 of the night now. Yes, we are on match 6 out of 9, guys. It's Chris Jericho versus MJF, and it's, like I said at the top of the show, it's a feud that's gone on for far too long already, and we get a video package that sort of tries to hype up the match. But really, do any of us expect Jericho to fucking retire or like give up his AEW career in 2021? I don't think so. It was telegraphed to fucking hell that he wasn't going to win. So whatever. This is where I actually did my rebooking, Sam.
I knew it.
So
I knew you would.
I don't know. Do you want me to do my rebooking first, or should we go through the match and everything? Tell you what, I'll go through the match, and then we'll see how I
and then we'll hear the better version afterwards. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I can promise you it is a better version. So MJF comes out. He's got a pretty nice creative entrance. He uses the Y2J countdown that Jericho is synonymous with from his WWF and WWE days. So the fans are sort of hyped up. They're like, "Oh my god, we're getting Jericho," and it's his Y2J countdown. But then the Titantron displays Jericho's last match, and then MJF's music hits. MJF is so good at this sort of stuff, isn't he?
He's fantastic.
He's good at playing with the fans' emotions like that. Chris Jericho comes out to a live version of his song Judas with Fozzie's guitarist. The guitar drowns out most of the crowd, and
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. At this point in Jericho's career, the thing that he wants to do with the crowd and the crowd wants to do with him is sing along, but the guitar just fucking drowns it out. It's a nice idea, but it's just not executed very well.
It also just
back and forth.
Sorry, to just stick on the Jericho entrance. The amp that the guitar is plugged into sounds blown the fuck out.
Oh, and it sounds out. I don't think the guitar's tuned either.
No, the crowd can't recognize what part of the song is being played. So you get like one section of the crowd singing one part of the song, and then another section of the crowd is singing another part of the song, and then they realize, oh wait, no, it's this part of the song that's being played.
Yeah.
So let's sing to that bit. And you can see it on Jericho's face as he's walking to the ring. He's like, this was a terrible fucking idea.
Yeah.
Let's never do this again until I get to wrestle in Wembley, and then we can have a whole Fozzy concert at Wembley.
Yeah, I mean, we were there for that.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Into the match. Back and forth in the early parts of the match. They spill to the outside and they get in amongst the fans outside of the barricade for a little bit. Jericho just fucking chucks a metal stand on MJF's back. It makes a thump and it's pretty cool. They end up back in the ring for some rest holds because Jericho's old and he can't really work anymore. And guess what? We're still seeing him in 2026 now. It slows the pace of the match right down. MJF is in control mostly because he's 3 up as well. I don't know in kayfabe why MJF would even fucking take this match anyway. It's fucking stupid. He's already won the feud. Anyway, MJF is mostly targeting Jericho's left arm /hand/shoulder, and that's most of the story for the match. MJF hits a massive heat seeker pile driver onto the apron. Jericho tumbles to the outside but makes it back into the ring after the ref's 9 count. MJF misses a moonsault. Jericho powerbombs MJF onto the ring apron edge, which is, a Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn special. They don't really pull it off as well, but it's nice to see. Both guys exchange blows. MJF counters a flying nothing with a codebreaker like move for a 2 count. More back and forth. Wardlow fucking shows up. Jake Hager then shows up immediately after to even the odds. They get into a brawl on the outside. Referees come out and try and take him to the back. MJF gets Jericho's baseball bat and hits him with it because Aubrey Edwards, the match referee, is distracted by all the action outside. MJF hits the Judas effect for a 3 count, but Jericho's foot was on the ropes. MJF celebrates the pin, but then Aubrey intervenes and confirms another referee, intervenes and confirms that the match should restart, and they convene together, Aubrey and the other referee. MJF gets mad at the referees. Jericho rolls him up for a 2 count. After the restart, MJF applies the armbar submission. Jericho counters and rolls him up for another 2 count. Jericho finally locks on the walls of Jericho, then goes deeper and sort of wrenches it in. MJF almost gets to the rope and bites his hand, but taps, and Jericho wins in 19 minutes 36 seconds. The Inner Circle come on out to celebrate with him after. And give me your feelings, Sam, on this almost 20 fucking minute match, and then I will go into the rebooking segment.
You know what? I went for a 3 stars for this match. I think, yes, obviously you mentioned the issues of MJF is 3-0 up in this feud. He doesn't need this match. I guess the motivation that I could muster up for MJF is like, well, you're 3-0 up, I'm 3-0 up and you're old, so now I want to beat you again, but this time to just completely get you out of my life and out of my hair and away and make you retire. I think it wasn't an in-ring classic. I thought there was some good storytelling aspects to the match, though, which I think carried it, which I think is fine. Like, you're going to have some matches that are more story-based than in-ring based. I mean, look at any Roman Reigns match in the last 7 years.
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah.
And I think the crowd was really into it as well, which helped. It made you kind of, like, sit up and, like, if this had happened in front of, like, a dead, I don't know, like Milwaukee crowd or whatever, halfway through this, I would have been pulling out my phone and being like, oh shit, no, I'm supposed to take notes. Stop. But I think the crowd being into it was like, oh, you know what? This is fun. The false finish with the 3 count with the foot on the rope, it was goofy as hell. It's been done to death. But when the crowd is like super hot for it and they're like, no, ref, no, look. And then you have that moment with Aubrey and the other ref kind of like talking and being like, no, his foot was on the rope the whole time. It kind of like raises up the tension a little bit. And, you know, even though we all knew Jericho wasn't going to lose, it was still like a high stakes, quote unquote, match. So I think when you have that, it does work well. So yes, it was goofy. And yes, it did go on a bit too long. And so did the feud. But I thought it was fun. MJF is a really good heel. You know, Jericho, I'm not a fan of Jericho. He understands the business. Like, he's been doing this for near on 40 years at this point. Like, he knows how to get a crowd into a match, even if he's not in his prime anymore. So yeah, I went 3 stars. What did you give it?
I gave it 2.75. So yeah, similar to you. Like, I enjoyed it for what it was and everything, but what pisses me off is that you're giving 20 minutes to this in an already, I wouldn't say it's a bloated show, but it's a packed fucking show, right?
It's long, yeah.
The women's world title match and the 2 that opened it got like between 10 and 13 minutes each. And then this one gets almost 20. And then you have the whole fake finish and then Inner Circle coming out to celebrate. It just feels like Jericho is just taking up too much TV time and that he just needs to quicken the pace with everything that he does a little bit. But that's also on the producer of the match and the booking team as well. Like, they should have just been like, no, instead of 20 minutes, you've got 15, you know, make it work sort of thing. Because I feel like performers like Jericho and maybe even MJF to an extent now, they're both quite old school workers, aren't they? And they probably thrive under the pressure of being like, oh, your segment's been cut from 20 minutes to 15, fucking sort it out. And then that's where you really get the juicy bits. Yes. I feel like instead of the whole plodding stuff. So yeah, it's just too long. I gave it 2.75. Yeah, it probably went for 5 minutes too long. The fake finish was okay. The character work was good. The ring work was lacking. But yeah, like we said, it doesn't really matter that much when the story's pretty good. But then I didn't really like the story. So that's why it's a 2.75 for me. So into the rebooking, I framed it into sort of three parts. So we have a problem. The problem is the whole feud was just too self-indulgent. MJF was already 3-0 up. They'd already done a fucking blood and guts match in May with their factions. The result of this match felt like a foregone conclusion. You can't have Jericho go 4-0 down. You can't have him retire. He's still one of the biggest stars in AEW, you know? Having his career on the line, it just telegraphed the result too much for me. So to fix it, we need it to be sort of more of a brawl and a fight rather than a fucking dancey Broadway play, if you get what I mean, you know? On the actual night, here are a few tweaks to make it way better. You ditch the fucking live guitar entrance. Yes. The guitar was out of tune, everyone was out of time, and it just completely killed the vibe. You need your entrance for, you know, arguably the top star of the match. You need the entrance to fucking G up the crowd a little bit. And it just completely made everything fall flat. What you do instead is you use the first 20 seconds of Judas, then you cut it off, and then you let the fans finish it. And you let Jericho bask in the adulation and fucking... It's just easy, man. It's happened many times before. You just do that. You also cut the match time down from around 20 minutes to maybe 12 to 15. Jericho is 50 years old, the same age as Kojima from the second match. MJF has already won the feud, so we do not need a 20-minute fucking plod of a match. We also need to change the stipulation to if Jericho loses, then the Inner Circle disbands instead of Jericho is gone from AEW, because at the moment, He's relying far too much on the inner circle. The faction has probably overstayed its welcome already anyway. Give it a little bit more stakes, because then you have 5 other people who are then invested as a wrestler in this storyline instead of it just being on Jericho. You can have MJF win this then, because Jericho doesn't need the fucking win. It can clean the slate for all members of the inner circle. Not that they were really going to do much anyway after the inner circle, but the idea
what do you mean,
is
Jake
there.
Hager wasn't ready for a world title shot? Huh?
You know what I mean anyway.
Yeah.
And then MJF, just adding this little bit in as a sprinkle, have MJF pick up the mic after the match and have him sing his own version of Judas. It will get him massive fucking heat with the crowd. Fuck it. Have him really rub it in. And then you have the fallout from all this. So you have Santana, Ortiz, Sammy Guevara out of the Jericho vortex. They can go off and do their own thing. Their destiny will be in their hands then. I'm not rebooking their whole fucking careers. I'm just rebooking this match. Jericho can then disappear for like 6 months or a year. He can do his cruise. He can do another tour with Fozzy. He can watch his wife storm the Capitol building. You know, he can just return as a bit of a fresh act, you know?
Yeah, I think it's like we were saying before when we were kind of like messaging each other about this show, and like you are kind of rebooking, that it was difficult to find something on this show to rebook.
Yes.
And I think with this as well, there's only so much that you can do with it that without kind of completely changing everything about it and being like, well, okay, so the first thing I would do is, instead of it being MGF versus Jericho, I would have it be Bryan Danielson versus Kenta, like, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you were put in a tricky situation, but I think you did the best that you could with it. I think it worked better. I definitely think get rid of the retirement kind of stakes, because like you said, Jericho's 3-0 down in the feud. He's not going to go 4-0 down and then retire.
No.
Yeah, but I think, because I was thinking it as well, like have it be the inner circle disbands, or maybe the inner circle has to join MJF's faction, you know, something like that. But yeah, I prefer that. It's still like, and I'm not saying this to be critical of you. It's like, it's still, it's not like an amazing story, but it makes sense.
No, of course not.
It's the best you can do. It's taking chicken shit and turning it into chicken salad that's been, you know, maybe sat on the side for a little bit.
Yeah, like you said, I'm not gonna completely rebook like the whole angle going into it or anything. It's just slight tweaks, you know. And I to be fair, I guess it is completely rebooking the angle if you're changing the stipulation. But yeah, you get where I was coming from with it. So yeah, no, appreciate it.
If I was to rebook it, I would keep the stipulation of Jericho retires, and I would have Jericho simply lose the match, and then he could go back to WWE and hang out in the White House, where him and his wife can have a great time together, alongside Triple H and RFK Jr.
Yeah, and TKO and all that fucking bollocks.
All those.
Anyway.
You know. Speaking of TKO,
our next match is match 7 out of 9, and it's the long-awaited return of CM Punk. His 7-year wait, basically. He abandoned us, the fans, in 2014, and he came back in 2021 to AEW, and Tony Khan enticed him with probably a very lucrative financial package. And probably some semblance of creative control, I imagine. And we all know how that ended up, but we'll probably cover that in some shows to come. But for now, let's stay positive. It's his return, and it's a good feeling, you know. So CM Punk versus Darby Allin. We start off. There's a video for Darby's entrance. Darby shows a video of a body bag being swung along in the air by a helicopter before he jumps out of the helicopter. Sure, that's great. He enters the arena with Sting, but then Sting goes to the back. So yeah, you've got your appearance fee money there, Stinger. Punk then enters to a fucking thunderous crowd for his first pro wrestling match in 7 years. I was a massive massive CM Punk fan, and
We both were.
we both were, and I felt so fucking betrayed by him in 2014 when he initially went, and then obviously everyone heard his podcast with Colt Cabana and the sort of the health issues he had and the problems he had with Vince McMahon and Triple H and WWE and everything, and then I was kind of like, oh yeah, okay, I get why you did that, because fundamentally if you're under contract as a worker and you're not feeling like your employer is treating you correctly and you're an independent contractor, yeah, leave. But the thing is he completely left the wrestling business and didn't really address anything apart from the odd podcast and then going to like SmackDown fucking backstage or whatever when he was hosting that show with Renee and Samoa Joe and whatnot. Like, it just, I felt kind of betrayed by him. And then he came back to, my favorite promotion, AEW. And then it's like, oh, great. And then he completely fucks everything up again a couple of years later. And now he's back sucking the blood money teat of TKO and WWE and Saudi and all that. And yeah, he's just, I don't know, man. He's just a weird fucking character, isn't he? But you can't deny that he is charismatic as fuck. He gets the wrestling business.
Cult of personality, like his
he
entrance
does.
music says it all. Like, it is true. You can't help but no matter what you feel about him, whether you love him or you hate him, when he does something and when he's in a headline, you read it and you watch it because you're like, what the fuck is he going to say? You pay attention. Now? Yeah, because regardless of whether you go, this guy's full of shit or this guy is the Messiah, you cling to what he says. Because everyone has an opinion on CM Punk. There is nobody who is like, oh, CM Punk, Everyone is either like, I adore CM Punk. CM Punk is the savior of professional wrestling. Or you are on the other side and you are CM Punk. If, the way to think about CM Punk is if everyone around you is an asshole, maybe you're the asshole. Like if problems constantly follow you around, maybe you're the problem. Yes. So
maybe look internally.
Yeah. So, fair play to him for keeping himself relevant. Let's just talk about the match, I guess.
For some reason, CM Punk is wearing full-length tights. They're both in the ring. The crowd starts chanting "Holy shit" without anything even happening. So that's the kind of aura that you're dealing with here. It's CM Punk in Chicago after 7 years away. Not to mention the added fucking like COVID stuff that we talked about and being the first show back. Like it all creates this melting pot, doesn't it? We get into the action with a good old fashioned collar and elbow tie-up. Sam, your favorite. We have an arm drag from Darby, a shoulder block from Punk. The crowd chants "Welcome back" after, those couple of moves. They're feeling each other out. More back and forth. There's a hammerlock from Darby to Punk. Punk hits some power moves, uses his size advantage because Darby's a tiny man. Tries to get Darby into a GTS position quite early, but Darby escapes. Darby hits some coffin splashes against the turnbuckle. Takes a nasty corner bump between the top and middle rope. Do you remember that? Like he just gets thrown in between the top and middle rope. And it's like he broke his fucking back and he just flops to the outside. That was fucking brutal, wasn't it? It
was horrible.
Punk tries a couple of submissions back in the ring, a couple of pin attempts, but we're really slowing the match down now because, Punk's back, his first time back in 7 years, so he's probably a bit
WWE
tired.
Guy as well. That's what they got to do.
He is. Yeah, exactly. We get a nice tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, but Darby breaks free from another submission attempt and then hits a stunner and a cradle for a 2 count. He hits a sunset flip code red for another 2 count. Punk then goes for a superplex from the top, but Darby lands on Punk for another close 2 count. Both guys doing some pretty decent counter wrestling now after the little rest hold break. But then Punk hits his GTS, but Darby falls out of the ring, so that was a nice spot. Darby gets back into the ring at the 9 count. Probably a spot that we've had, one too many times in this show already, but it's fine. Punk then regains control. He sets up for another GTS. Darby counters, hits a suicide dive and a senton bomb to Punk on the outside. Another "This is awesome" chant breaks out from the crowd. Darby goes for a coffin drop. Punk counters by sitting up. Darby counters again into a close pin and then counters another GTS attempt for another close fall. Punk then counters a Poison Rana attempt into a clean GTS and a 3 count to win in 16 minutes and 40 seconds. He shakes Darby Allin's hand and shakes Sting's hand as well, who comes out to show some respect. And that's CM Punk's return after 7 years, Sam. How are we feeling? What have you rated it?
I tried to put my personal feelings aside on both
Yes.
Darby Allin and CM Punk before this match. I went 3.5. Also, I'd like to point out for the listeners, I don't hate a collar and elbow tie-up to start a match. I think in an instance like this, it makes sense. Where it's like Punk has been out of the ring for 7 years. It's a respectful fight. When I hate it is when it's the main event of WrestleMania 25, blood feud between Randy Orton and Triple H, and it starts off with a collar and elbow tie-up, or if it just is done for the sake of being done. This was fine. However, there are some things I would like to get off my chest. As soon as MJF, Chris Jericho finished and they started... they play the video package or they show the card on the screen for what the next match is going to be. And it's Darby Allin versus CM Punk. I got, that smile you get when you're like, oh, this is cringe. That came on my face. I cannot underscore how cringe inducing the idea of this match is to me. You have a fake Punk, the guy who has a Pepsi tattoo on his shoulder, works for the White House now and the Saudi blood money versus the edgy for the sake of it 30-something skater boy who is unwashed. He just looks dirty to me. Like he looks like he and he has that now as well. He has that pink hoodie that he wears that has just over the course of the last 18 months or however long he's been wearing it has just gotten grimier and dirtier and more disgusting. And I hate it. And Sting looks like a cool grandpa dropping off his grandson to a hardcore show. Yeah. And like Darby's like looking at him like, can I go see my friends? And Sting's like, yeah, go on. And then you realize Darby Allin is at this point 28 years old. It's kind of like the natural, when in The Simpsons when they used to go forward in time in some episodes to show like the kids as adults. This Darby Allin is Bart Simpson. That's how I see him. Just like, I like pain. And then, that's not even to mention this opening video package of him putting the guy in the body bag who's supposed to be CM Punk, but it's like a really skinny guy who doesn't, it just immediately takes you out of it. And then the body bag starts spinning wildly in the air, which was just really funny to me. And then he jumps out of the helicopter, but we don't see how far the jump is, so I just assume it was from like 6 feet in the air onto a crash pad. As far as a return match goes, it was good. I think it went long enough for CM Punk to show that he could still go in the ring, but I think short enough to hide any kind of inevitable ring rust that you would have after 7 years away. One thing as well that I want to point out about CM Punk, I know I haven't really said much about him, but I've always found that he moves in like a really goofy way. Like the way he walks, he kind of plods along. When he runs and stuff, like his limbs look slightly a little bit too heavy for him. And I've always kind of found that the case. Like even when I was a fan of his, I'd always be kind of like, he runs kind of funny. Like he runs, like those kids in school who like weren't into sports at all. And then you would see them on sports day doing sports and you'd be like, he runs a bit funny. That's kind of like the way CM Punk runs. And I've never been able to not see that.
Nice.
But long and short of it is CM Punk is not the best in the world at this point, nor has CM Punk ever been the best in the world.
No, not really.
At any point. I think, 2011 when he was in the Fed and it was maybe him and Bryan Danielson could put on a good match. But Bryan Danielson has always been streets ahead of CM Punk in the ring.
Yes.
But yeah, 3.5. It was fine. It was decent.
I gave it 3.75. I think because I was looking at it through the lens of when I probably first experienced it and how excited I was to have Punk back in wrestling at the time. The benefit of hindsight is it would do a lot of damage, I think, to my scoring and my opinion of Punk. So I tried to, like you did, I tried to put myself like in my shoes back in 2021 when I was watching it and putting myself back in like my punk fan shoes basically. So I thought it was a nice enough match. It was good. It was a bit slow at points, but then I can forgive that because it is his first match back in 7 years. And I think the last sort of 5 to 7 minutes when they did all this like great counter wrestling and stuff and the close falls and stuff, that was pretty fucking good, and that probably notched it up a little bit for me. So yeah, I mean, yeah, a good match, and I think it fit its place on the show. And yeah, half decent, and I pretty much agree with everything that you said about it. And you know, like you know, hindsight is the greatest friend, isn't it? So
yeah.
Anyway, moving on to match 8, which shouldn't even be a fucking match. It's Paul White, otherwise known as The Big Show, versus QT Marshall, who is accompanied by Aaron Slow, I don't know, and Nick Camarato. I'm bad at names, but those are the people that are with QT Marshall.
I think they both work for Uber now.
Yeah. This is Paul White's AEW debut match.
Yeah, baby.
And we're here because basically QT Marshall was being a bit of a cunt to Tony Schiavone, and Tony Schiavone is a national treasure. Schiavone was giving interviews backstage, and QT was just being a knob to him. Even at ringside as well. And then big old Paul White, the Big Show, came out to do a save 1 week and chokeslammed QT. And now we're here in the the precursor to the main event,
the
All Out 2021. Yeah, there's really not a lot to say about this match other than Paul White dominates, catches a flying nothing, choke slams to win in 3 minutes and 11 seconds. Just a bit of a piss break match, isn't it?
So you gave out your first 5-star match of the podcast earlier.
Yes.
This is not. I went 2 stars.
Yeah.
It's good to see Big Show back on the podcast. We had a week without him.
Yes. Yeah.
And
no, he was sorely missed.
Yes, I was gonna say, like, you could really feel his lack of presence on NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. So it's good to have him back here. No more BS was on his Titantron, which I thought was kind of cute. I thought that was a fun little nod to, like, I'm not the Big Show anymore. I'm Paul White. No more BS.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was the real kind of return match that I was looking forward to. You know, it was quick and to the point. Like you said, what was it, 3 minutes? Which is
3 minutes
really
and 11 seconds is what I've got. Yeah.
I think the best thing that you can say about this match is, I reckon if you were to look at hourly sales for the merch tables in the Now Arena, I reckon they probably had a bit of a boom around this kind of 5 to 7 minute mark. So, you know, for those who say that Paul White can't draw a dime, look at the merch sales while he was in the ring.
Yeah, look at it in real time, please.
It's simple maths, people. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Welcome back, Big Show. Glad to have you back on the show. We missed you.
Yeah.
You big, beautiful bald man.
I gave it a 1.5 out of 5. I think anything between a 1 and a 2 is probably justifiable for this. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a nothing burger of a match, isn't it? So
it really
move
was
swiftly
just
on.
Like the crowd is tired after Punk Darby.
CM Punk, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so let's give him this time to recharge, go to the bathroom, get a drink in, and then we have the main event. You know, it was perfectly suited to its spot, which is fun.
Exactly.
You're gonna have
and
that
before the main event, we get a backstage promo from Malachi Black, otherwise known as Alistair Black for you WWE fans. He is talking to Dustin Rhodes, otherwise known as Goldust for you WWE fans, and he is hyping up their match for the next Dynamite. Yeah, not much to say about that. It just happened in the broadcast, so there you go. Yeah. On to our main event of the evening. It's for the AEW World Title. It is the god of pro wrestling, Kenny Omega, with human excrement, Don Callis, versus Christian Cage. We have a hype package shown with our commentators for the evening sat down in a talking heads kind of way, analysing both competitors, which I thought was a pretty nice touch. You know, you have
really
Shivani and they presented it really, really well. And they delve into both competitors and their nuances and everything. Yeah, it was just really good, and it hyped the match up. Christian comes out wearing the Impact World title, which he won the previous month from Kenny, and Christian is currently undefeated in AEW as well, similar to Chris Statlander in the previous Women's World title match. Kenny Omega comes out with Don Callis, and he is sporting sort of an old school beard with a blue and black dyed hair thing. So he's got like an old school, old timey Western beard almost.
He's got like the Triple H Reign of Terror beard.
Yeah. And he's got a blue and black dyed hair thing, I guess, to sort of accentuate that he is a heel. He looks fucking cool. He looks like a stud.
I love this. Yeah. This era of Kenny Omega was fantastic.
Oh, dude.
It was honestly like the himbo Kenny Omega.
Yes.
He was fantastic. He's brilliant.
In the match, Christian pretty much immediately goes for his finisher, the kill switch, but then Kenny comes back with a Hurricane Rana, which sends Christian to the outside. Christian, in the early parts of the match, is in control on the outside with some whips into the barricade and a crossbody from the top rope to the outside as well. It's nice to see Christian, coming, he wasn't long retired as well coming back, so it's nice to see him doing all this stuff. Omega counters a couple of moves on the outside and then whips Christian into the steel steps to get his stuff in. He gets a table out, places it in between Christian and the floor, and then double foot stomps him through it. And I'm like, is this a no DQ match? Fucking what's going on? But
so
yeah,
cool
fucking I'm here for it. It does.
Yeah,
exactly. But I'm here for it. Don then helps Kenny set up another table, but then Christian counters with a suplex. We're back in the ring now. Both guys get some offense in, and then Omega has a rest hold after the kind of high pace of the first few minutes. Stays in control, and then shoves Christian off the top turnbuckle back to the floor after Christian goes to the top. Kenny struggles trying to use probably the thinnest barricade in the world to jump off, but fucking somehow he does it anyway. It looks kind of hokey, but fair enough for doing that. He gets a 2 count for his troubles back in the ring. Then he goes, he has another 2 count after a Ushigoroshi onto the knee. I think I've said that right.
I think you have,
Christian. Thank you. Christian hits a Hurricane Rana to Omega from the top turnbuckle. A reminder that Christian retired in like 2011 or 2012. No, it was 2014, I think, actually. Sorry. So yeah, he was out of action for a while. So he's doing some fucking good stuff. Both guys are down, and then they do that classic spot of both of them rising up with exchanging punches, rising up to their feet. Christian avoids the one-winged angel and gets some punches in the corner. He counters another move into a nice reverse DDT. Kenny then counters a running nothing with a well-timed knee strike. Christian spikes Kenny with a twisting DDT from the top and sets him up for the kill switch, but then Omega counters the kill switch and hits his V-trigger in the corner, followed up by a real clean Snapdragon suplex. I think probably Kenny is one of the best Snapdragon suplex people ever. And then he hits another one, and then another one, and then hits another V-trigger. And so you're like, wow, Christian's taken a lot of punishment now. Omega then teases a suplex off the apron onto the setup table that Don helped him with, Christian then counters and goes for a kill switch on the apron, which would have been fucking gnarly, but then Kenny counters and tries a one-winged angel off the apron, and that would have been even gnarlier. But then Christian counters, spears Omega through the table onto the outside, which looked pretty fucking cool.
Very nice.
Both guys move to the ring. Christian does another 2 spears for another 2 count. He tries a frog splash from the top, but then Omega counters with his knees up. That looked pretty cool. Then he hits 2 knee strikes to Christian's face, looking cool. I mean, everything Kenny does looks fucking cool.
Yeah.
Christian then counters a 3rd knee strike attempt, but then Omega re-counters for a ripcord V-trigger. Christian then goes for a cloverleaf submission, but Don Callis calls for help as the Good Brothers come down and then eat shit for their troubles. Christian counters and hits the kill switch for a close 2 count. Don Callis then gets in the ring to distract Christian. Christian chases him out, attempts a top rope kill switch on Omega, but then Omega counters to a one-winged angel off the middle turnbuckle for the win in 21 minutes and 19 seconds. Kenny Omega retains his AEW World title. I thought that was a great match, so I am keen to know your thoughts.
Yeah, I went 4 stars for this one. I think Kenny and Christian were put in sort of an unenviable position here with having CM Punk's return match in Chicago, like, 15 minutes before this.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not saying this as a dig, but in terms of like a world title match, this was somewhat heatless in that the build for it was just that like Christian had beaten Kenny, which obviously, yes, huge accomplishment. Like we said earlier, it was his first singles loss in 18 months. So fair enough, Christian, by the book, Christian deserves the world title shot here. But I don't think the crowd ever really bought into Christian becoming the world champion. And also I think at this point as well, Christian he didn't necessarily have a character. Like obviously we know him now as Daddy Christian, the patriarch, with his amazing heel work. Whereas I think at this point he was just kind of like Christian, the guy who wrestles good, which I think it did also help them though, because both these guys are supreme workers and still were able to put on a fantastic match that the crowd did get into, even if the outcome of the match was kind of easy to see or whatever. The action in between both bells was really good. Also, I think it's nice to see people are kind of waking up to this now, that Christian was always a better wrestler than Edge.
Yes.
Because the difference between Christian matches when he came back from retirement and Edge matches are night and day. I think Edge tried too hard to be like, yes, I can wrestle good. Where it's like Edge was, I'm not saying Edge is a bad wrestler. Edge is a good wrestler. Or, Cope is a good wrestler. But Christian is just a better worker.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like I said, this era of Kenny Omega with the kind of the himbo character that he had going on, the belt collector gimmick that kind of we've seen from Mercedes Moné as well in more recent times. It was so good, and it was so believable with Kenny. Not that it's not believable with Mercedes, like she's insanely talented as well.
Yeah, but Kenny's on another fucking level.
Kenny
you can't group any fucking worker can hardly hold a candle to Kenny, right? Like regardless.
Yeah, it's very difficult to make a case for the only person I would say that I think is better, or one of very few people that I think is better, is Bryan Danielson, and I will always simp for Bryan Danielson. But yeah, this was a very solid main event. I think personally, as much as I might not like Darby Allin and CM Punk, I think that that maybe should have been the main event. I know, like we said earlier, AEW likes to do things more kind of in the traditional sense and have their world title match go on last, and that's great, and I applaud that. But I think sometimes you just kind of need to read the room a bit, and maybe you swap the world title match and Punk Darby on the card. Maybe that's my rebooking segment, is I would just change these two matches around. Because I think it would have helped slightly. But like I said, the crowd did eventually get into it, and obviously there was a couple of big moments that happened after the match, which I'm sure we'll get into as well. But yeah, no, it was a fun main event, and it left you with a good taste in your mouth after the show.
Absolutely. I gave it a 4.25 out of 5. So yeah, not too dissimilar to yours at all, really. Like you said, it's two absolute fucking phenomenal workers. You've got Kenny Omega doing some great character work, and yes, Christian Cage doesn't really have his character cemented yet, but he's a great worker, and they play into his history with TNA and Impact really well, and then he wins the Impact World title off Kenny, which is a good little wrinkle to the story as well. Yeah, I mean, it's 21 minutes and 19 seconds I had it at, which is pretty good for a main event for an AEW World title. There's enough shenanigans in there, and there's enough close calls and counter wrestling, and just good stuff. So yeah, 4.25 out of 5 for me. Not much else to be said other than post match. We have the Young Bucks limping down to the ring to celebrate with Kenny and the Good Brothers and Don Callis. They then just start beating the ever-living shit out of Christian. The bell just starts ringing non-stop, so there's There's a lot of chaos and fucking overwhelming noise going on, right? Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy then come out for the save, but are fought off easily. The crowd are fucking rabid, and they know what's coming, but do they really know what's coming?
No.
Kenny Omega grabs the mic. He cuts a heel promo saying that anyone that has a chance of beating him, either not here in AEW, are retired, or are already dead. Pretty fucking gnarly promo from Kenny there, and it does a really good setup for what comes next. Adam Cole is here. Fucking huge pop for this man, baby. The crowd do the Adam Cole baby. He super kicks Jungle Boy to align with the Elite because there's a little moment where he's facing off with Kenny and the Bucks and stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh, Willie, oh, is he part?"
They kicked him out of the Bullet Club before he went to
when in Japan they kicked him out. Yeah. He then grabs a mic and he cuts a promo saying the Elite are now the most dominant faction in history. He's joined them, and there's no chance in hell that anybody is going to stop that. Omega tries to wrap things up, but then they are interrupted by Bryan fucking Danielson. Huge pop for Bryan. Bryan helps up the baby faces in the ring, clears house, and celebrates his arrival in AEW with the crowd. The crowd chant AEW, AEW, and the Elite group up on the ramp as we fade out to black from the show.
Yeah, what an ending. Because it's like you said, everyone kind of knew about the Bryan Danielson signing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember if the Adam Cole one had been released at that point, or like the news of it had come out that he'd been signed, but it was a really nice. It was the best kind of swerve where you thought Bryan Danielson was coming out, but actually it's Adam Cole. Oh, but then also, yes, Adam Cole has come out, but then also, yes, we are going to introduce Bryan Danielson as well, just in case you weren't satisfied with that. And then also that just like, it sowed the seeds immediately of, we're getting Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. Like,
the two best wrestlers that have ever wrestled,
probably
basically.
of all time. Yeah. And the match that they put on then was not a disappointment either, which was fantastic. No. Yeah, I mean, even on the rewatch of this show, hearing Adam Cole's music hit, the crowd losing their fucking minds, and then you think like, okay, that's the end of the show. Maybe we'll see Bryan on Dynamite, and then his music hits. It still, like, even talking about it gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
To see, like, and he looked so happy to be there as well.
Yeah.
To be like, oh yes, I can, because I mean, obviously when he was in WWE, he still put on phenomenal matches.
Well, it's the equivalent of making him wrestle with one hand tied behind his back for WWE because they have all these restrictions in place, right?
Yeah, and he was still able to put on these, these insane performances against the likes of AJ and against the likes of Brock and Cena.
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as he walks out, your mind just starts going like, oh my God, there's all these people. Like you start picking up names of like people that he can face, and you're like, well, this is going to be a dream match, and then this is going to be a dream match, and this can be a dream match, and like his whole run in AEW was only 3 years that he was there, and he got so much done in those 3 years that there's just. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to see that little bearded man on my screen again. Did you do an overall show rating for this show?
I did. I rated the show overall a 4.5 out of 5.
I went 4.25.
Okay, still very similar though. I think we were pretty fucking similar for the most part on this.
You've got Danielson, Adam Cole, Ruby Soho, Minoru Suzuki, all on the same show. Are you having a fucking laugh?
And Punk.
So you've got Bryan Danielson, Ruby Soho, Adam Cole, Minoru Suzuki, all in one show. And Paul White, of course. Sorry. No one else really that I care to mention.
No, not at all.
Obviously, Jamie Hayter makes 2 appearances on the show.
Yeah, based.
Fantastic news for us redheads who are also lesbians. Yeah, this was a very fun time. Would you like to know my best dressed and worst dressed of the night?
That was going to be the next question out of my mouth, Sam. Please tell me.
I know you are all waiting with bated breath, and I'll be honest, this show was the most difficult to pick because there was a lot of nice ring gear, and then there was a couple of outfits that I thought that's terrible. Never ever present yourself like that in front of me again. Best dressed, I went with Britt Baker. She had the black and red gear with the she had her hair in like middle plaits with some nice red dye in that as well. She had some really nice dark black and red eyeshadow as well. A very nice black and red motif, and also her glove for the lockjaw had the black and red on it. And I just I'm a big fan of that color scheme, and I just think she wore it very well. And it
nice.
Yeah, she was dedicated to the colors. Worst dress, I almost gave it to CM Punk for those times.
I thought you were, yeah.
Honestly, I was starting to write CM Punk, and then after the finish to the main event, the Young Bucks came out, and Nick Jackson was wearing this bodysuit that was shorts, and it had like it was black with like some galaxy print on it, and then it had like a paint bucket that was spilling some white onto the shorts. And it gave me very like, do you remember those like galaxy print leggings that were very popular in like 2015, 2016? That only like the smelliest girls that you can think of ever wore. It was very...
Still see them around now occasionally.
You do sometimes, yes. Usually very washed out because they have been worn since 2015.
Yeah, they stopped making them in 2015.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it was giving very, very that, and I was not a fan of it. Matt was in like kind of a gold fit, which was a lot nicer. Yeah, Nick, no. But yeah, CM Punk was a close second on this. Why, after 7 years of being away, why are you wearing...
No, dude.
Why are you
honestly.
wearing tights like that? Like,
is there a special mention for the Lucha Brothers at all? Because I thought they were dressed phenomenally as well.
You know what? I was considering the Lucha Bros as well. I really liked their gear, especially Penta's, because I think he had on the chest piece, he kind of had like a Mexican flag motif going on. So I was a big fan of that. I also do like a luchador mask. When done well, I think they can look very nice and ornate. Yes, I was a big fan of that. That's kind of... Nice. That might be second place for best dressed. But I just... Perfect. Britt Baker, just the way she tied everything together was just very nice. And also I enjoyed very that nice. Match. So I like to give the women their flowers where we can.
Oh, absolutely. Know? Yeah. That is All Out 2021, folks. What a fucking show. First 5-star rating. Fucking just great. You know, you got returns, you've got debuts, all of our favorites from at the time and back in the day and shit. Fucking let's go. Big show as well, of course. I am extremely keen, Sam, to learn what we're going to be covering next week.
This week we took our first foray out of the WWE verse.
We did.
Next week, we will be taking our first foray out of the United States of America.
Oh, yeah.
Now, your mind may conjure up some images of certain shows when I say that we're not going to be in America. But the good news is we're only going to Canada. So there's some good shows that happened in Canada.
Yeah.
This next show is very much a trip down memory lane for me. Our next show is Unforgiven 2006, live from Toronto, Canada.
Okay. I honestly, off the top of my head, I can't tell you much about this show at all, so I'm excited to watch it and feedback.
When you look into this card, I think you'll be excited to watch this show.
Fuck yeah, nice. All right. I mean, I'm going to get away and get stuck into that then, so... Gonna sign off now, guys. Thank you very much for listening to the Smark and Soul podcast, episode 5, where we covered All Out 2021. Come back next time, where we'll be covering Unforgiven 2006. Let's fucking go. So I've been Jack.
And I've been Sam.
Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you next time.
Bye.